So hello and welcome to the Yoga Club, whether you're joining live or whether you're watching the recording. It's important that, as always with in a yoga class, you pay attention to your own body. Just take things as far as is right for you this evening. You don't have to do everything, you can miss anything out, taking the right options for you. So let's begin. So we're going to start by coming to standing. So coming to standing in the middle of your mats. Feet hip distance apart. Taking your feet out a little bit wider so that you're out to the width of the mat. The key thing to do today is just to make sure you have plenty of room around you for the things that we're doing. And this first thing is just going to test that. Let me just lift my camera up a little. So you're going to take your hands out good and wide. And then start slowly at first, making sure there's no obstructions. Turn it, twisting left and right. Keeping your arms outstretched, fingertips pressing away from you. Maybe starting to take your gaze over your shoulder. And maybe picking up the opposite heel as you twist around, just allowing you to go that little bit further. And then if you're sure there's space, see if you could speed that up just a little. And then starting to slow that down, coming to face the front and lowering your hands. As always, these first few bits of movement that we do at the beginning of a class, great things to do before you head out for a cycle or out for a run. Then bringing yourself to the front of your mat, ready for our sun salutation sequence. So hands relaxing by your side, feet together, shoulder blades relaxing, the crown of your head lifting as your feet press down. We'll take 2 breaths here before we begin. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, bringing your palms together at the center of your chest. Relaxing your shoulders, lifting your elbows a little, then reaching your hands up towards the ceiling, looking between them, lifting your arms up and then taking them back. Your arms come back, your armpits come back, your rib cage tilts up to the ceiling. From your hips, stretch all the way forward and all the way down. Bending your knees as much as you need so that your fingertips are touching the mat. Neck muscles relax, so your head hanging heavy, you're looking towards your knees. Take your right leg all the way back. Once your leg's back, lift your gaze. Let your hips relax down. Maybe pressing your right heel away from you so that leg is good and straight. Sending your left leg back, coming into down face dog. Hips lift on high to the ceiling. Your hands press down into the mat. Your heels press down to the ground. Sending your weight back towards your legs. Looking between your hands, coming forward to plank, looking between your hands in plank, so finding that perfect straight line from the back of your neck to your heels, lowering your knees, followed by your chest, making contact with chin or forehead on the ground, and press forward as you lift your face and lift your chest. Shoulder blades ease down your back, a cobra there, then toes tuck, and hips lift. You can take your hips back to your heels or lift them up in one move. Back to down face dog, hips lifting, heels press down, hands press down. We'll take our calf stretches here. If we end up in down face dog for longer than you need, then lower your knees. Bending your right knee, and as you next exhale, press your left heel firmly to the ground. As you inhale, swap that over, so now you're bending your left knee. As you exhale, your right heel presses firmly down. Inhaling, swap. Exhaling, left heel to the ground. Feeling that stretch in your left calf. Inhale, swap. Exhale, right heel to the ground. One more each side, inhaling swap. Exhale, left heel firmly down. Inhale, swap. Exhale, right heel to the mat. Pressing your left heel down. If you can reset your dog do, hips lift, hands press forward, heels press down just for a second. Look between your hands and bring your right foot through. Lifting your gaze, relaxing your hips, pressing your left heel back. Just bringing your left foot through, come into a forward fold, knees bent as much as you need, head relaxing. Lifting your arms, arms reach up and back, and hands come down. Inhale. Exhale, palms press firmly together. Stretch and reach your arms up and back, looking between. From your hips, stretch and reach forward and down, fingertips in line with your toes on the mat. Left leg all the way back. Lift your gaze, relax your hips. Send your right foot back, down face dog, hips lift on high, hands press down, heels press down. Come forward to plank, shoulder blades ease down, you're back in plank, heels press away, helping you to lengthen. If you're feeling strong, you could lower down in one straight line or take knees, then your chest. A press forward, lifting your face, lifting your chest to cobra, elbows in close, tucking your toes, hips lift on high, hands press down, heels press firmly to the mat. Pressing your chest down towards your knees, your armpits to the ground. Looking between your hands, left foot through, lifting your gaze. Right foot through, forward fold. Relax there just for that moment. Then reach and stretch all the way up. Rib cage to the seat, tilting up to the ceiling as you look between your hands. Hands come down. Inhale. Exhale. We'll take one more round. We're going to flow this with the breath. So if you're able to align with the breath, please do. Crown of your head lifting, feet pressing into the mat. Growing tall. We begin with a rest breath. Inhale. Exhale, palms firmly pressing together. Inhale, stretching and reaching up, looking between your hands. Exhale, stretch and reach forward and down. Looking towards your knees with your neck muscles relaxed. Inhale, right leg back. Lift your gaze, relax your hips. Exhale, left foot back. Hips lift on high, heels press down. In down face dog. Inhale, forward to plank, shoulder blades relax down your back. Exhale as you lower. Knees then chest or one straight line. Inhale, lift your face, lift your chest. Exhale, toes tuck. Hips lift on high to down face dog. Chest guided back towards your knees, hips lifting towards the ceiling. Inhale, right foot through, lift your gaze. Exhale, left foot through, forward fold, head hanging heavy. Inhale, stretch and reach all the way up and back. Exhale, hands down. Inhale. Exhale, palms pressed together. Inhale, stretch and reach up. Exhale, stretch and reach down. Inhale, left leg back. Relax your hips. Exhale, right foot back. Down face dog. Hips lifting, hands pressing forward and down. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale as you lower. Inhale, face and chest lifts to cobra, shoulder blades ease back. Exhale, tuck your toes and lift your hips. Hands press forwards, chest towards your knees. Inhale, left foot through, lifting your gaze. Exhale, right foot through. Final forward fold. Inhale, stretch and reach up, arching up to the ceiling. Exhale, hands down. Taking your feet apart, turning your palms to face forward, 2 cooling breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Bringing yourself to lying down on your mat. Taking your feet out towards the corners of the mat. Hands away from your body, palms turned up. So coming into a good Shavasana pose. Keeping all of your awareness and attention within your body. So maybe being tuned into your breath. Being aware of the next few inhales, the next few exhales. We're going to take a lying down twist. Bend your knees, bringing your feet in towards you, and send your arms out at shoulder height. Pick up your right foot, placing your right ankle onto your left knee. Then we want to move our hips 2 or 3 inches to the right. So picking up your bum, moving it 2 or 3 inches right and placing it back down. Then stretch your hands wider, pressing your arms and shoulder blades into the mat. Then as you next exhale, slowly take both legs over to the left hand side. So you're aiming to land the sole of your right foot onto the ground, the outer edge of your left leg. You might not get all the way down in one move, just taking it slowly, letting that twist in your spine develop. Once you've gone as far as you comfortably and easily can, take your left hand onto your right knee. Paying attention to your right shoulder blade, keep that pressing towards the ground as you gently start guiding your right knee towards the mat. Slowly bringing it down as far as your right shoulder blade allows. If you feel your right shoulder blade lift off, then you might need to ease back on your knee. Then using your next few breaths, as you inhale, repressing your right shoulder blade down. As you exhale, easing your knee a little lower. So feeling quite a few stretches going on here. You've got your ITB getting a stretch down the outside of your right leg. You've got the twist in your spine. You've got a stretch going on down your right arm and across your chest. Take one more breath there. Turning your head to the left hand side. Straightening your right leg so your toes come into view, and then taking a hold of that leg as close towards your ankle as you can easily reach. You might be nearer your knee than your ankle. Just wherever you are is the right place. Bringing your foot as close to the ground as your right shoulder blade allows, so to that point where your right shoulder blade is starting to lift off. Then using your left arm, start easing your right leg up towards the wall that's now above your head. So bringing on a stretch down the back of that leg. If you find your hand is near your knee, you might find it a bit difficult to get that leverage. So you may want to use more of your right leg strength to lift it up towards that wall as much as your hand strength. Taking 2 or 3 more breaths there. Use the exhale as the opportunity to ease your leg higher. You could also press your right heel away from you, press your right hand away from you, getting a stronger stretch across your whole body. Then to release, bend your top knee, letting go of your leg. Your knees come towards each other. Bring your knees up towards the ceiling. Return your hips to the center. Re-stretch your arms out at shoulder height. Feet hip distance apart. Picking up your left leg, crossing it on your right knee. Moving your hips 2 or 3 inches over to the left this time. And with your arms and shoulder blades firmly pressing into the ground, As you next exhale, slowly take both legs over to the right hand side. If you can, landing the sole of your left foot, the outer edge of your right leg. Then bringing your right hand onto your left knee. Left shoulder blades pressing into the ground as you start guiding your knee down to the ground. Feeling that stretch develop down the outer edge of your left leg. A little bit into your glutes. Starting to use your breath. Inhaling, left shoulder blade presses down. Exhaling, your right knee eases a little closer. These will be millimetre movements, but they're millimetre movements that very gradually increase the stretch, increase the twist. Take one more breath, final ease down of your right knee, left knee. And turn your gaze to the right. Straighten out your top leg, take a hold from underneath, a good firm grip as close towards your ankle as you can easily reach. Bringing your foot as close to the ground as your left shoulder blade permits. Then starting to ease that leg to the wall that's now above your head. Bringing on the stretch in your hamstring, keeping your left shoulder pressing down. Using your next few out breaths, each time you breathe out, ease your leg a little higher. Maybe pressing your left fingertips away, pressing your left heel away. And releasing your leg, bending your left knee, knees come towards each other. Inhale your knees up to the centre. Then bring your knees up onto your chest, taking your arms around them, taking a rock side to side. Bringing your rocking to a halt in the centre and landing your feet down. From there, bringing yourself up to standing. So this early part of the class is always the things that are particularly good to do after a run or a ride. Starting with the highest priority thing would be the sun salutations. These next two things are also good post-run stretches. We'll start with our ITB stretch. Feet hip distance apart, hands relaxing by your side. Picking up your right foot, crossing it over your left. And then making sure that you're standing so that you're straight. You're neither tilting that way or that way. You're completely level so that if you were absolutely against a wall, both your shoulder blades would be touching the wall evenly. Bringing your left hand onto your left hip. And when you're ready, starting to tilt over to the left. When you've tilted as far as you can to the left, then starting to press your hips away to the right. Making sure your shoulder blades are still evenly against that wall if there was one. And then this should be starting to develop stretches down the outside of your right hip where your ITB connects. But we're going to use movement to make that stronger. As you next inhale, coming up upright. As you next exhale, tilting back over to the left. Inhaling, pressing your right hip to the right. Exhaling, relaxing left a little more. Inhale, coming back up, two more. Exhaling, tilting left. Keeping your back foot straight, pressing into the ground. Inhale, pressing your right hip right. Exhaling, relaxing left. Inhale back to the centre, one more. Exhale, tilt left. Inhale, sending your right hip to the right. Exhale, relaxing left. Inhale, coming back up. Uncrossing your legs. Crossing your right foot over the left. Right hand onto your right hip. Your back leg straight, pressing firmly into the ground. Your left knee in front is bent. Your right knee, sorry, in front is bent. So that foot is more lightly pressing into the ground. As you next exhale, tilting to the right. Once you've come as far as you easily can on this first one, starting to press your hips out to the left. Relaxing a little more right. Then we'll take 3 with our breath. As you next inhale, coming back up. Exhale, tilting right. Inhale, pressing your hips to the left. Exhaling, relaxing right. Shoulder blades evenly against that wall. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, tilt right. Inhaling, left hips more leftwards. Exhale, relaxing right. Inhale, coming back up. Final one. Exhaling, tilt right. Inhale, send your left hip more to the left. Exhale, relax. Final time to the right. Inhaling, lift back up. Uncrossing your leg, taking your hands onto your hips, and then just taking a release where we stretch down the front and sides with a twirl of your hips. And then taking that around the other way. Bringing that to a halt. We're going to take a quad stretch, and we're going to do it actually with a very traditional runner's or cyclist type of quad stretch. But I wanted to do this really mindfully so that you're very focused on exactly where the stretches are being felt. So feet hip distance apart. You might want to be near a wall if you need a little bit of extra balance. Bending your left knee and catching a hold of your left ankle. Give yourself a moment for your balance to establish itself. Then bring your knees towards each other. So your knees are right next to each other. Drawing your heel into your buttock. And then tilting your tailbone under, so your pelvis tilts up at the front, and that will start to stretch the front of your left quad. And then to take that all the way down your quad, start to press your knee down and ease it back a little. And if you can be tilting your tailbone down at the same time as pressing your knee down, you should then feel the stretch down the whole length of your left quad. Maybe taking a little lift of your chest, taking your shoulders back to keep in good posture. Taking one more breath there, knee pressing down and back, tailbone tilting down, and releasing your left foot. Preparing to do the other side, feet hip distance apart, bending your right knee, taking hold of your right ankle. Allow yourself a moment to establish the balance, bringing your knees then towards each other, so your knees are close. Starting to draw your heel in towards your buttock. Tilting your tailbone down so your front of your pelvis tilts up. Stretches at the top of your right quad. Pressing your knee down and easing your knee back a little so you feel the gentle pull up and down on that quad, stretching the whole length of it. So taking 2 or 3 more breaths there, really working to stretch the whole length as much as you can. One more breath. And release your right leg. Maybe just taking a little shake of your legs and then coming back to lying down on your mat. So for our core today, we're going to take churning the stomach, To prepare for churning the stomach, bend your knees and bring your knees up onto your chest. Bring your arms around the back of your legs or around the front of your knees, drawing your knees in as close as you can to your chest. Then with your knees in close, keep them held there as much as you can, using your leg muscles and your stomach muscles as you take your arms out to the side. Arms stretched out at shoulder height. Pressing both hands away and then pressing your arms and shoulder blades into the ground. So you're creating a strong anchor line at the top of your body. Draw your navel in towards your spine to give you the strength and control at your core. As you next exhale, slowly take both knees over to the right hand side, aiming to hover them just off the ground, taking them as close to the ground as your core allows. Once they're as close to the ground as they'll go, then starting to ease your knees up to your right elbow, keeping your left shoulder blade pressing down, keeping your left hand pressing away. So there's a little bit of an anchor on the left side of your body. Taking one more breath, the final ease up of your knees to your elbow. As you next inhale, bring your legs back to the center. Hold there for a breath, arms stretching out, navel drawing towards your spine, and as you next exhale, slowly taking your knees over to the left hand side, hovering your knees as close to the ground as you can, drawing your knees up towards your elbow, keeping contact with your right shoulder blade and the ground. Taking one more breath as you next inhale, bringing your knees back to the center and landing your feet down. So we're going to take that now with our breath. So bringing your knees back up onto your chest. If your core is feeling strong today and you've got plenty of space around you, you could straighten your legs and take this with straight legs. Otherwise, it's fine to keep your knees bent. Draw your navel down towards your spine, press your arms and shoulder blades into the ground. As you next exhale, take both knees or legs over to the right hand side, pressing your left shoulder blade into the ground. As you inhale, bringing your legs back up to the center. Next exhale, taking them down over to the left hand side. Inhale back to the center. And then keep that going with your breath. Each time you exhale, knees or legs to the side. Each time you inhale, back to the center. When your knees are down to one side, be drawing them up towards your elbow. If your legs are straight, be drawing your toes up towards your hands. And when you're down at one side, make sure the other arm is pressing firmly down, being your counterbalance. With your navel drawing down towards your spine, that gives you the strength and control right at your core. Taking up to 2 more of those to each side if you have them. Making sure that when you finish, you are coming up from the left hand side. Then landing your feet down, stretching your legs out, feet out to the corners of the mat, hands by your side, palms turned up. Directing the next few breaths into your abdomen. As you inhale, let your abdomen lift. As you exhale, let it relax back down. And preparing for bridge pose, Setu Bandha. Bending your knees, bringing your feet in towards you. Have your feet hip distance apart. And then have a reach down with your hands, just to see if you can just about graze the middle of your heel with your middle finger. That shows that your shins will be roughly vertical, which is how you want them to be. Turning your toes in towards each other, becoming a little pigeon-toed. And then there's no rush in this lift. The starting point is tilting your tailbone up towards the ceiling, so your pelvis tilts up. That starts your hips lifting. Keep that movement going, lifting your hips, peeling your lower back away from the ground, pressing into your feet to help your hips lift. When your hips are lifted as high as they'll easily go, start to press your upper arms into the ground. That lets more of your upper back peel away from the mat. If it feels like it's the right thing for your shoulders, you could then interlace your hands underneath you, pressing your hands down towards your feet. If your hands are interlaced, you could then maybe take your weight over to one side a little as you roll the other shoulder and upper arm outwards and underneath you. Doing that on both sides. And then wherever your hands are, you could start to press into all 4 points of contact, into your feet, into your upper arms, lifting your hips, peeling more of your upper back away from the ground. Keep your breath steady, keep your breath smooth. Taking 2 more good breaths here. On your final inhale, have a final lift up. Then moving your hands out to the side, very slowly coming back down, starting at the top of your spine, sending your hips towards your heels to help your spine drape back down evenly to the ground. Once your hips have landed, bringing your knees up onto your chest and taking a rock side to side with your arms around your knees or around the back of your knees. Bringing that rock into a halt in the centre and easing your head to your knees, drawing your knees down to your chest. So curling up, landing your feet down, landing your head down, and coming from there to sitting. So come and sit with your legs stretched out. If sitting up like this isn't your most comfortable posture, you could take a block and sit on a block or a cushion. You may have a cushion more to hand than a block. And we're going to take Janu Sirsasana, head to knee pose. So bringing your left foot in, bringing it in as close towards you as you can, with the sole of your left foot against the inside of your right thigh. Taking your hands behind you, pressing your fingertips into the ground. And as your fingertips press into the ground, that lets you lift up tall. So lifting your chest, maybe walking your hands in so your chest starts to come towards your right toes. Pressing your left knee down, pointing your right toes up to the ceiling. As you next inhale, lift your arms up to the ceiling. Stretch as tall as you can. Turn to face your right foot. As you next exhale, start hinging forward, leading forward with your abdomen, keeping your arms lifted for as long as you can. But when you can tilt forward no more with them lifted, let them come down to land wherever they come to on your leg. Could be your knee, shin, ankle or toes. Once you're there, start to use your breath. As you inhale, you ease your upper body forward towards your right toes. As you exhale, you relax your upper body, keeping that going with each breath. Inhale forward, exhale, relax down. If you're getting towards your knee, focus on bringing your chest towards your knee rather than your head. So you're keeping your head, your neck straight and long. Take one more breath, one more ease forward, one more relax down. And don't move a muscle except your head to look at your toes and your hands to stretch them forward. On your next exhale, press forward. As you inhale, reach up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lowering your hands. Then we're going to take a counter posture, so take our body in the other direction, having just closed it down with that forward fold. Taking your right hand onto your knee and your left hand behind you so that your palm, I'm going to come this way so you can see this, so your palm is pressing into the ground, your right hand's on your right knee. Pressing your left leg into the ground. As you next inhale, starting to lift your hips away from the ground, so your weight's now coming onto that left leg, taking your arm up and overhead, pressing the sole of your right foot into the ground. Lifting your hips to the ceiling and pressing them forward to the wall that's now in front of you. As you press your right foot into the ground, your right fingertips can stretch back, stretching all the way down your right side. As you press into your left hand, you can lift your hips a little higher. As you next exhale, slowly starting to lower your hips back down, your hand winds around to end up back on your right knee. Straightening out your left leg, taking shape of your legs, and then coming ready to do the other side. Bringing your left foot in. Yes, left foot in. Pointing your left toes up, right toe. No. Yes, right. Bringing your right foot in, left leg straight. Hands behind you, pressing in so that you're straightening and lengthening your upper body, lifting your chest, pointing your left toes up to the ceiling, pressing your right knee down towards the ground. Maybe walking your hands forward a little so you start easing yourself towards your left leg. Then as you next inhale, lifting your arms up towards the ceiling. Stretch and reach tall, turn to face your left leg. Then as you next exhale, hinge from your hips. There's no rush. Let the stretch develop steadily. When you can hinge forward no more, let your hands come down to wherever they land on your leg. Then, using your breath, inhale, ease your upper body forward towards your toes. As you exhale, relax your upper body over your leg. Millimeter movements, but know that every millimeter you bring yourself forward is an extra stretch down the hamstrings and the back of your leg. Taking 2 more breaths. Particularly relaxing on the exhale. Holding still, lifting your gaze to look at your toes, stretching your arms forward. As you next exhale, reaching forward. As you inhale, lifting back up. Exhale, lowering your arms. Straight. Oh no, we won't do that. Keep that leg there. Taking your left hand onto your left knee. Right hand behind you, palm in the ground. Starting to press your right leg into the ground, ready to lift up onto it. As you next inhale, lifting your hips, taking your arm, winding it around above your head. Lifting your hips up to the ceiling and pressing them forward to the wall now in front of you. Pressing your left foot into the ground and pressing your left fingertips away. So stretching out as long as you can. Really being aware of that line from your left foot to your left fingers. Pressing into your right hand, lifting your hips a little higher, pressing them further forward. As you next exhale, lowering your hips, bringing your arm back around, landing it back onto your knee, and then stretching your right leg out and taking a shake of your legs there. From there, coming to lying on your fronts, ready to do some work for our back. So preparing for Cobra, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders. Tips of your fingers line up to the top of your shoulders. So your elbows are pointing up, bringing them in close to your side. Laying your forehead onto the ground, or your chin if the forehead isn't comfortable. And then before we lift, just take your shoulders, lift them up to the ceiling and down towards your feet whilst your forehead is on the ground. So a little up and back movement. Then as you next inhale, lift your face, just looking forward at first, feeling a gentle stretch in your throat. As you next inhale, slowly lift your chest away from the ground. Shoulder blades easing back, elbows coming in close, chest easing forward. Keeping your breath smooth. Take one more breath, have a lift if you can. As you exhale, lowering back down, placing your forehead onto the mat. We're going to take one more Cobra. Before you lift, just take your shoulders up and back, that up and back movement. Then as you next inhale, lifting your face so you look forward. As you next inhale, peeling your chest away from the ground. Shoulder blades ease back. Elbows head back so your hands are pulling against the ground. That allows your chest then to ease forward a little. Take one more breath. As you exhale, lowering back down. Bringing your hands underneath your forehead, resting your forehead or a cheek onto your hands. So with your forehead resting on your hands, we're going to take a lift of our legs. So working the lower back. Tucking your toes under and lifting your knees away from the ground. With your knees lifted, lift and point your toes behind you. So stretch your legs as long as you can make them by pressing your toes to the wall. Then start to see if you can peel more of your legs away from the ground. Lifting your legs, lifting your thighs away. Really pressing your hips down. Where your legs join your hips, the hip crease, pressing that down to help you lift your legs a little higher. Then as you next exhale, slowly lowering your legs back down. We'll take one more leg lift, tucking your toes under and lifting your knees. With your knees lifted, lift and point your toes. Stretch your legs long. As you inhale, lift your legs towards the ceiling. Peeling your thighs away from the mat, pressing your hip creases into the ground. Relaxing your upper body as much as you can so that all the work and tension's in your lower body. Taking one more breath, having a lift on the inhale. As you exhale, lowering your legs. So we're going to bring ourselves next to locust pose, Salabhasana. So that's going to be a lift of the upper body and the lower body. If that feels more than you need, then you could take Cobra or a leg lift like we've just done, or you could rest this one out. If you want to come to locust, then bring your hands down by your side, palms turned up, resting your chin or forehead onto the mat. As you next inhale, lift your face so that you're looking directly forward. As you next inhale, lift your chest away from the ground, bringing your arms up with you, so your arms are lifting as well. Lifting your shoulders, and then as you next inhale, lifting your legs. Pressing your hands back, pressing your toes back, keeping your breath smooth, and then seeing if you can lift your chest, arms and legs any higher. Taking one more breath. Having a lift if you can as you take it. As you exhale, coming down slowly with control. Bringing your hands underneath your forehead, resting your forehead or cheek onto your hands. Really being aware of your breath. Feeling that elevation in your breath from the work of locust pose. Bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, coming up to hands and knees, ready to take some cat-cow, easing the back. Wrists are under your shoulders, knees are directly under your hips. Lifting your tailbone up to the ceiling, letting your waist dip down to the ground, lifting your head to look upwards. Then as you next exhale, tuck your tailbone under, arch your back up to the ceiling and tuck your head under, coming to cat. Inhaling, tailbone lifts, back dips down, head lifts. So keeping that going with your own breath, exhaling to cat, inhaling to cow. Next time you find yourself in cat, with your head and tailbone tucked under, holding cat for a moment. Pressing your hands, knees and feet into the ground, helping to arch your back up a little higher. Then release. Sit back onto your heels. With your hips as close to your heels as they'll go, bring your forehead down to the ground. If your forehead doesn't easily touch the ground, and if you've got a block or cushion handy, take that under your forehead. Otherwise, make one or two fists with your hands, resting your forehead onto your fists. Letting everything go here. Maybe making some adjustments to your child's pose. You could open your knees a little wider or bring them closer together. You could stretch your hands out, or you could have them down by your side if your head's not resting on them. Finding whichever position gives you the most rest. Allowing your exhale to relax your body towards the ground. Bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, pressing into your hands to lift back up and coming to standing. So we have a couple of standing postures today. If I just get it so that I can be seen. So to prepare, come to facing this way and take your legs as wide as they'll go, ready for a warrior one. So if everybody faces this way, Marcus, if you want to face this way as well. And then your hands are on your hips. Take your legs as wide as they will comfortably go. And turn your right foot in and your left foot out. So your left toes are pointing towards your camera. Using your hands, bring your hips then around to face this way. Pressing into your front foot to ease your left hip back, pressing into your back foot to ease your right hip forward. Take a lift of your chest, take your shoulders back. As you next exhale, start to bend your left knee, taking your knee towards your middle toe on the left foot. Keep your back foot pressing firmly into the ground. That's anchoring you in the posture. When you've come as low as you can easily come, check your knee and ankle, making sure your ankle is in front of your knee. And with that back foot still pressing down into the ground, particularly the heel, as you next inhale, lift your arms. Stretching your arms up towards the ceiling. We'll take 2 breaths here. As you next inhale, stretch your fingertips higher, and as you exhale, see if you can sink lower. Inhaling, fingertips lift. Exhale, sink. Holding for 1 more breath, back foot pressing down, fingertips lifting, sinking if you've got it. As you next inhale, straightening your front leg, turning to face the side, hands on hips, feet face forward, heel toeing your feet back together. Turning the other way and taking your legs as wide as they will comfortably go. Turning your left foot in, your right foot out. Guiding your hips around to face the front. Pressing into your back foot to take your left hip forward, pressing into your front foot to take your right hip back. A lift of your chest, take your shoulders back. As you exhale, bend your right knee. Keep your torso upright as your hips lower. Back heel pressing down, guiding your knee towards your middle toes on your right foot. Check your knee and ankle, make sure your ankle is in front of your knee. And as you next inhale, lift your hands. Stretching your hands to the ceiling. Back foot pressing down. As you next inhale, hands lift higher. As you exhale, sinking lower. Inhaling, hands lift. Exhale, sink. Back foot, keep it anchoring you firmly down. One more breath, hands lifting. Sinking if you've got any more. As you next inhale, straighten your front knee. Coming upright, turning to the side, hands on hips, heel toeing your feet back together. Taking a shake of your legs there. And then coming back this way, taking your feet once more out to the side. This time, don't take it to your absolute maximum, just taking them a good distance apart, but not as far as you took them for Warrior One. Hands on hips, turning your right foot in and your left foot out. This is a perfect stretch to do when you're outside and want to stretch but you can't lie on the floor as we would do in a class or if you're inside. Taking your hands behind you, interlacing your fingers if that's comfortable. If it's not comfortable, you can have your hands behind you like wings. Pressing your hands down towards the ground, lifting your chest, taking your shoulders back. As you next exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips, so the hinge is coming from here, leading with your chest. If that's uncomfortable on your left knee, or if you hyperextend, you could put a little micro bend in that left knee. Once you've come as low as you comfortably can, then you could start to lift your hands up towards the ceiling. Maybe letting your neck muscles relax so your head can hang heavy, letting your chest relax down towards your knee. And then using your breath so that as you inhale, you lift your arms, and as you exhale, you sink a little lower. Maybe easing your left hip back a little. And as you next inhale, make it a big inhale as you lower your hands and lift yourself upright. Turning to the side, releasing your hands, heel toeing your feet back together. And coming to face the other side. Taking your legs out a good distance, but a comfortable distance, not your max. Turning your left foot in, turning your right foot out. Guiding your hips around. Taking your hands behind you and interlacing your hands, or having your hands separate. Pressing your hands down towards the ground. That will lift your chest and take your shoulders back. Then as you exhale, hinging forward, so you're pressing your chest forward, hinging over that leg, hinging from your hips. Let it develop nice and slowly. Once you've come as far as you comfortably can, putting a bend in that right knee if your knee needs it. Then starting to lift your hands as you relax over that leg, letting your neck muscles relax if that's comfortable for your neck. Maybe using your next few breaths as you inhale, lifting your arms, as you exhale, relaxing everything over that leg. Taking one more breath. And as you next inhale, lowering your hands, lifting your head, turning your feet to the side, hands on hips, and heel toeing your feet back together. Taking a shake of your legs, shake of your shoulders as well. And that's a great one to do, as I say, after a run or a ride when you're out on the street, because it's a good stretch down the back of your legs, but it's also a stretch of your shoulders, which if you've been cycling or running are likely to have hunched forward for a while. So maybe having I like what you're doing there, Glynis, maybe let's just have a little shake around, shake out there. That feels like a good thing to do. And then with that, it's time for our final relaxation. So bringing yourself to lying down. Take with you anything that you want to rest behind your head. If you've got any cushions or block, you might want to have a block or cushion behind your head. You might want to have a blanket or put more clothes on. Anything that will allow you to be as comfortable as possible. Finding your best Shavasana pose, so feet are out to the corners of the mat, hands away from your body, palms turned up. But you can change that as much as you need. So if you wanted to have your knees bent, if you wanted to have your knees bent with your feet together, anything that makes you comfortable is possible. Being aware of your body for a few moments, just checking in with anything that you feel within your body. We've done some strong postures tonight, so you may well feel, particularly after what we just did, maybe your shoulders you can still feel the residue of that posture. Maybe in your hips. Relaxing your body. Feeling the ground underneath you. And allowing yourself to relax into that space, relaxing into your mat, relaxing towards the ground. Bringing your attention, when you're ready, then to your breath. Being aware of the next 2 or 3 breaths. And then lengthening and slowing your breaths. Inhaling to a count of 4 and exhaling to a count of 4. Knowing that for the next couple of minutes you could keep that practice going, inhaling for 4, exhaling for 4, but also knowing you could let that practice go as long as you're relaxing, as long as you're resting, then that's all that you actually need to do. And keeping your body still for a few more moments, gently bring your awareness and attention back. Bringing movement back with a wriggle of fingers and a wriggle of your toes. Bringing your legs together, taking your arms up overhead for a gentle stretch out. Fingertips pressing back as your toes press forward. Lengthening just a little. Releasing. Bending your knees, bringing your knees up onto your chest. Your arms can come back over to hug around your knees, taking a rock side to side. Bringing that rocking to a halt, easing your head towards your knees, drawing your knees towards your chest. Releasing, landing your feet down, landing your head down, and then maybe coming to your right hand side for a couple of breaths, then bringing yourself slowly back up to sitting. Thank you for joining me. Wonderful to see everybody. Namaste. Thank you.